The Riddler actually exploded yesterday on Twitter for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet leaks. We have so much to talk about, it's not even funny. I'm not kidding, I have like 20 tweets queued up from the Riddler talking about all sorts of stuff about the game, including new evolutions, pre-evolutions, and much, much more. So strap yourselves in because this is about to be a wild ride. So the Riddler first starts off by kind of addressing some of the previous riddles that they had talked about, saying that back in March, our first riddle of Titan went with a third type in Chinese. The trick of this was that people would assume the GIMMICK was gaining a type rather than turning into a third one. So ultimately, like I said, he was just kind of hinting at some of these different things. The next thing was the dog with kind of the wheelchair wheels, and this was to subtly inform you that the Spotlight Pokemon, the legendaries, would move with both wheels and limbs, which we see from the different versions of Koraidon and Miraidon. One of them utilizes its feet to kind of run and swim and all that other stuff. The other one uses like a more mechanical wheel, despite the fact that they both kind of have wheels going on. Before I go any further, you guys gotta check out this awesome project I did with the guy who designed the dragons in Skyrim. Check out this sweet promo for Bloodline.
Let's get into this and let's do it. I'm torn.
I'm gonna let you pick the mother, and I'm gonna pick the father.
I have a soft spot for Dark Elves.
But I think there's no debate for me. I think the chat wants it. I think we gotta marry a dark elf and a lichen. I think that's what we need to do. All right, so he's got a baby sketched.
Just get the general, you know, baby shape.
Oh my god, dude, what? You're an animal. I think tail. It's gotta have a tail. Chat, how fluffy are we going here? Maximum floof, chat is saying. Lycanus. So awesome. So you have your companions. You can like give them different gifts to increase their intimacy. So I'm gonna court this particular champion, and then now I have a baby.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But we have our baby Trayvane. And look at him.
Whoa.
My dude grew up. There we go. New champion. Look at that. My man grew up really quick. Oh my god. Okay. Oh my gosh.
Possibly can.
So you can see you get to use these like ultimate power moves like Divine Healing, Smite of Judgment, etc. And then I'm just gonna obliterate and do so much work here.
Do it. This is it.
Oh my god, dude.
Okay.
Wow.
I saw Ruby in there a bunch, and so I just felt like that would be a good combination, you know, and
oh my god, incredible, incredible. Chad, give it up for Jonah, the final version of this beautiful little Elzadith and Lycanus baby.
New legends will be born. Download free now.
Big shouts to Bloodline for sponsoring today's video. We've got the Riddler also talking about the Wooper leaks, which we kind of figured as a community, which was dope. The fact that he was teasing at ground and water, and then goes on to say that this other leak here with kind of the character holding up the little ball, that was again for Wooper as well. And it's a lot of these we actually solved as a community, and going back through these posts makes me almost miss the Riddler in a way, right? Like we had Kaka come out, leak all this information, but the Riddler's riddles were really fun, and it seemed as though we actually, I know this person was controversial many times, but there was a lot of really cool things that we kind of gathered from it. This next tweet here, PDY, that was them leaking the name Paldea, which obviously was translated a little bit differently, but they did ultimately leak the name going all the way back to July 1st, which is pretty nuts. They talked about Lechonk's evolution with the mascara. He does confirm here that the shiny of Lechonk's evolution is indeed white, which I love. I love shinies that go from like white to black or black to white. I think those are really cool. Wooloo's a really good example of this type of shiny pattern where it kind of goes from that white to the black color pattern. This looks like it's gonna be the opposite. We do know from leaks that the two different Lechonk evolutions it's the same Pokemon, but it's male and female based. So they're gonna have like a different kind of visual approach there, much like Pyroar does. Then goes on to talk about the Fido riddle. He says Fido and its evolution riddle, it's getting more delicious when it evolves, actually gets toasted. LOL, kidding. And it's of course this image of a dog with the sliced bread. Now we know that this is of course related to Fido. So again, if you have ever doubted the Riddler, I don't know what to tell you, because clearly this person has this inside information. This is going back to June 30th when they posted this riddle. So Fido getting an evolution confirmed from this post here as well. Then goes on to say, still remember that people on Reddit complained that it took weeks for them to tell them the tiniest ride thing that nobody cares about. And on May 18th, he teased the fact that the legendaries, Koraidon and Miraidon, had all these different ride forms, right? You've got the Groudon, you've got the Solgaleo flying, you've got the Reshiram that you can ride on top of, Rayquaza, you can go on water like Kyogre, you can fly in the sky like the Laddies. And I mean, it's just, you just gotta look at this and laugh and say, wow, it's crazy. It was right in front of us this whole time. Then goes on to say, on August 3rd, he posted a picture of Wailmer with a little kind of like foamy beard, and he says, you'll understand why we mentioned Whalmer when you see Titan's dex description. That will make this one a perfect hint. So it seems as though Whalmer's gonna have some sort of indication with its dex description for Titan, which by the way is my favorite Pokemon so far revealed in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I actually really like this Pokemon. I think it's a great design. It's really epic. It reminds me a lot of like when Duraludon was revealed as a pseudo-legendary for Pokemon Sword and Shield. I don't know if it's in the same class as that, but it's a Pokemon that I personally really like its design. And then the big news, he says, by the way, its pre-evo is cute, which means that Titan has a pre-evolution. So this thing is probably gonna be pretty strong, and I'm very excited to see this cute little seal thing, or whale thing, not a seal, whale. This cute little whale thing. I think that's really neat. So I'm very excited to see Titan's pre-evolution. So again, some more nuggets, some more bits of information here for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You'll love to see it. The Riddler's back, and he's posting a lot. Now, talking about the new Terrastil mechanic here, I think it's really good to break this down. We got Midnight Sketch putting out an image, and Riddler KHU essentially confirming it. So I'll probably break this down in another video, but I'll touch on it right now. So let's say you have a Magnemite that's electric and steel. It has regular stab and typing. Then you have a Terrastil type Magnemite that's normal. So it becomes pure normal type when it Terrastilizes, and it loses its steel and electric, and it gains normal damage. Pretty simple stuff, right? So you have a Magnemite that gets stabbed to normal because it becomes a normal type, and it loses its steel and its electric typing. Then you can Terrastilize a particular Pokemon to a type that it already has. In this case, Magnemite Terrastilizing into an electric type, and it becomes pure electric. It loses its steel typing, but now it gets even more damage to its electric type. So instead of stab being 1.5 multiplication boost, it essentially seemingly becomes adaptability, which is what the Riddler says, 2x boost. This could be very, very big for a handful of Pokemon. For example, I think of a lot of dragon Pokemon potentially removing their 4x Ice weakness to fire off a adaptability boosted Draco Meteor, one of the strongest moves in the game. I think of a Pokemon like Victini getting a fire Terrastil type, being able to fire off a V-Create with double stab. That is insane. Now, it remains to be seen whether this is a held item or not. It seems as though it's not. It seems like you have these Terra Balls that allow you to transform the Pokemon's type through catching them in the game and whatever else, which means that if you had something like a Choice Banded Victini Terrastilizing into a fire type to get double stab holding, that Choice Band, as I mentioned, that V-Create is doing more damage than I can even fathom in my brain right now, and we're gonna get some crazy, crazy nuke attacks in the concept of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. This is gonna be insane. I'm very excited about this mechanic in terms of how this is broken down. I still think the hats on the head are really dumb. The crystals look really cool. The particle effects look really cool. The hats are super dumb. Maybe they'll grow on me. It is what it is. I'm gonna move on eventually, but I'm gonna complain about it for now. He then goes on to say that all Pokemon caught in wild and raids, distributed and transferred from home in Paldea, can have all 18 Terra types. You can adjust the type as you want with items obtained in raids or other places, which means that it's not a hindrance in competitive. This is not something that you have to worry about. How many hours do I have to grind to get the fire Terra type Ferrothorn or whatever, which is the stupid example I keep using because it has that big weakness to fire. You can change it through raid battles, which will hopefully not be locked behind DLC. This is massive. Actually massive, being able to change it freely, and then again having the freedom to have all 18 Terra types on any Pokemon you want. This is bonkers for competitive Pokemon, ladies and gentlemen. Actually bonkers. He said, don't worry about the move pool. You can learn a new universal move that debuts in Scarlet and Violet to solve the problem of lacking stab moves when using Terra types, which would explain how something like the Water Gardevoir can benefit from being a Water Terra type, because we saw it in the trailer. What does Gardevoir learn that's a water move? I can't think of anything. Maybe it learns Water Pulse as a tutor from years ago. I don't think so. So having those opportunities could be very, very big, giving them a Terra Blast kind of move to go along with it. I just hope it's a decent move, like at least 80 to 100 base power, which would be massive. And again, this is just changing the entire competitive landscape on its head, right? Gems were something that were introduced, but you had to have the specific move for it. You got a 50% boost on one attack. This game allows the Pokemon to not just have that boosted attack, but potentially double stab boosted attack, gives them attack to give them any type attack, and then changes their type as well, which can counter weaknesses that you would otherwise see. Insane. Insane. This is gonna be wild for competitive. The possibilities are really endless, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know. It makes me glad that my competitive experience for this game is probably going to be limited to just like Wi-Fi battles against you guys for fun. I don't think I'm going to do the competitive circuit again. My life is taking me in different directions that are not that, but I definitely will battle. I just don't think I'm going to do official tournaments. Maybe I'll change my mind, but it sounds very wacky. Just a couple other things to touch on here. He showed this dolphin Pokemon based on a dolphin, which by the way, we have Leviathan in Alestrals, which is pretty dope. I think it's pretty dope. But the dolphin Pokemon, of course, he says that there's a lot of confusion. The big surprise is when it evolves, it doesn't evolve. If you can get what I mean, you'll know what the surprise this line has is. Reminds me of things like Wishy-Washy, right? Reminds me of things like Scyther into Scissor, where it evolves, but it doesn't, it's like stats don't change, right? They just shift around. So what does it mean when it evolves, it doesn't evolve? Maybe it has a new form in battle like Darmanitan. Just a couple things to think of, but we do know we're getting that new dolphin Pokemon. He then goes on to talk about the regional fake or the paradox form of the 4 candidates. He talked about a Pokemon that went from the water from Generation 1 to climb onto the land and ultimately, change its form. He narrows it down to 4 Pokemon. Tentacool, Seal, Krabby, and Lapras. So which one of those, I don't know. Lapras just got some love with the new Gigantamax form in the last game. Tentacool is a Pokemon I could see getting a new form. I hope it's not Seal, because who cares about Seal? I love me some Krabby and Kingler, so give me Krabby and Kingler, I'm all about it. Let me know in the comments section below what you want to see the most. And last but not least, and probably one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle today, is Nemona is a goddess, Penny is a bad beep, and Arven is a Manny. Enjoy your rivals. I don't know what Manny means, I really don't know. But Nemona being a goddess, she's attributed in this image to the gyms, which tells me that Nemona is probably your primary rival for the gym challenge. Penny seems to be attributed to what we're assuming to be the evil team based on the flags and the car that we saw. Although maybe that has something to do with the racing aspect of the game, and that's where the evil team comes in. And maybe Penny ends up being just like a beast race car driver, right? Maybe Penny gets on her Koraidon and just goes to town and is like the best driver of all time. He never expected it. And then Arven, he likes to cook. I don't really know what to expect with him. I think Arven is probably your treasure hunting partner. I think that those are the 3 stories of the game: treasure hunting, gyms, and then the aspect of the racing. So, and the rival or the evil team. So we'll have to wait and see what that turns into. But again, the Riddler teased these rivals back on July 7th. So crazy stuff. That was so much to unpack, but the Riddler is back, baby, and dropping all of the news and information. I'm personally very excited to see a Baby Sea Titan. I want to see what that Gen 1 new form is going to be. And obviously that new mechanic, Terrastil, looks very, very intriguing. I will say I feel better about it now, minus the dumb hats. So that's that. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. And that's going to be it for me, guys. My name is Dan. I also go by A-Drive, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.